Hi everyone, welcome to Chris's from Kitchens Home. Now today I'm going to be making Marcus Wareing's custard tart and Garibaldi biscuits. As I said before, I love this dish because I was a part of the team at the Great British Menus for the Queen's 80th birthday, and today I'm going to show you how to do this at home. Okay, today I'm going to start off with the Garibaldi biscuits. So we're going to mix together butter. We have 100 grams. 100 grams of icing sugar and 100 grams of flour. Okay, we're going to mix all this together until it's nice and smooth. So again, that's 100 grams of butter, 100 grams of icing sugar and 100 grams of flour. Alright. Mix it all together so it's all nice and smooth. Obviously you're going to get flour and icing all up in the air, so make sure you're not wearing your smartest best clothes. Of course, if I was at work I'd be wearing my chef's uniform. But today, as I said, I'm at home, so that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so that's all now mixed together. I'm going to scrape off the excess of my hands. Of course, if you've got a KitchenAid at home, you can use that. But I'm very old and traditional, and I like to get back to basics. Okay, so now I'm going to wash my hands quickly. And I'm going to quickly dry them. And next I add 200 grams of currants, but today I'm using chopped sultanas, so I find them a little bit fruitier, and also 1 egg white. Now I'm going to get all that mixed in. I'm just going to use my hands again. That's a lot better. Now the mix will be quite wet, as you can tell. It's mixed in nicely all over, and that's ready to go. Right, so what I'm going to do now is, again, I'm just going to quickly wash my hands. I'm going to get that mix and I'm going to put it into another bowl. And then I'm going to put this bowl in the fridge for 1 hour to set. Okay guys, so there's the mix. Again, that's 100 grams of butter, 100 grams of icing sugar, 100 grams of flour mixed together, and then 1 egg white and 200 grams of currants or finely chopped sultanas mixed together, and then we're going to refrigerate for 1 hour, and this is going to be our Garibaldi biscuits. Okay guys? Right, next we're going to make the pastry. Okay guys, so we've got the Garibaldi biscuit mix chilling in the fridge for 1 hour. Whilst that's happening, we're going to make the pastry for the tart. Okay, so here I've got 225 grams of plain flour, a pinch of salt, and some lemon zest. Okay, for 1 lemon, just the zest of 1 lemon is fine. Okay, so we'll quickly mix this together. Once that's done, I'm going to add the butter. Yeah, and here I have 150 grams of butter. Okay, so I'll mix this together until it forms kind of like a breadcrumb texture. So again, I've got 225 grams of flour in here, 150 grams of butter, 1 lemon zest and a pinch of salt. Okay. since that's come together. So now I'm going to add the sugar. As it comes together. I'm just going to quickly wash my hands, get all that excess off my fingers. As you know, hand washing is always very important. Please make sure you wash your hands regularly. Right, now in the mix I'm going to add 1 beaten egg yolk and 1 whole beaten egg. That's just going to help it stay together. Okay, and again I'll continue mixing. And that mix should come nicely together. It will be slightly wet, but you are going to put it in the fridge as well. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to add a little bit more flour, literally a handful, just sprinkled over the top, just to help pat it together. And that will keep it, bring it into a nice ball. Okay. Well, now that paste is ready to chill. But what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to wash my hands again. Again, very important, washing your hands. I'm going to get the mix and I'm going to wrap it in cling film. So here's my cling film. There's my pastry mix. Just get all the excess out of the bowl, don't want to waste any. It's always best to have a little bit more than it is not enough. Basically, pat it down, wrap it in cling film, just wash your fingers off. And that is our pastry. Now with this pastry I'm going to chill it down in the fridge for about 2 hours. Again, so what I've got in here is 225 grams of flour, 150 grams of butter, 75 grams of sugar, 1 egg yolk and 1 free range egg. So what I've done is I've mixed the flour, lemon zest, salt together, added the butter, I then added the sugar and the whisked egg yolk and whole egg. Okay, I've now wrapped that in cling film. And I'm now going to refrigerate this for 2 hours and then we can line our case and bake it. Okay guys, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, right, I've now just lined a tray with a piece of parchment paper or baking paper. Just a small tray, doesn't have to be big. And I've taken the Garibaldi mix out of the fridge. It's been chilling now for over an hour. I'm just going to lay it on this tray and I'm going to put it back in the fridge for about 30 minutes just to reset. Okay. Just lay it out. Obviously the mix has been in the fridge so it is slightly firm. Probably best if you have a spatula. Okay guys, I've now taken my Garibaldi mix out of the fridge. I've just got a baking tray and I've just turned it upside down so it's a flat surface. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on here and roll it out gently. little bit of flour on top. A little bit more flour on the rolling pin and the biscuit mix, just so it doesn't stick to the rolling pin. Just roll it out very gently. Just use one hand while holding the tray. Some mix may break away, but just push it back down and be fine. Let's try and keep the rolling pin dry, so otherwise the mix will stick to it. Right, relatively thin. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly square or shaped, because you're going to cut it anyway. Okay guys, so I've rolled it out. Not too thick, not too thin. A couple of millimeters. And now what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to put it back in the fridge for a further half an hour, just to let it set, and then will be time to baking it. So while this is going back in the fridge, I'm going to turn the oven on to preheat at 180, and then in half an hour's time I'll be cooking this. Okay? Okay everyone, my Garibaldi biscuit mix has been in the fridge now for about half an hour. I'm just about to stick it in the oven on 180 degrees. It's been preheated. I turned the oven on before I stuck this in the fridge, and I'm going to cook this for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes until it's nice and golden brown, and then I'm going to take it out and then I'm going to cool it slightly and then cut it. Alright? Okay, let's do that now then. So that's 180 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes until golden brown. Okay guys, thank you. Right, next guys, I'm going to roll out the pastry and line the pastry tin for the tart. Okay, my Garibaldi biscuits are cooking and they'll be about another 15-20 minutes. Okay, so this is the pastry that's just come out of the fridge. It's nice and firm, and I have my tart case here. I've lined it with a piece of parchment paper just to help stop the sticking of the pastry to the tin. I'm also going to line it with butter, so I'll do that next. So I'll get a little bit of butter, not a lot, and just grease the tin slightly. This is just a basic Victoria sponge case tin. Okay, you can buy this from most shops. Just put the paper in, that'll just help it so it doesn't stick. So I'm put that to one side. I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. And I'm gonna roll out the pastry. Okay, take the cling film off. As you can see, it's nice and firm. Okay, just gonna put a little bit of flour down. Flour the rolling pin as well, just help. Just roll it out. The pastry will crack slightly, don't worry, this is natural because it's still firm. But it will come back together. Just going to put more flour down. It's always good to have plenty of flour on hand when you're rolling pastry out. Okay guys, just because sometimes, you know, it can be slightly wet, it can be too. Okay, there's a big crack there, so I'm just going to push that back together. So you've got to make sure your rolling pin's quite dry, otherwise the pastry will stick to the rolling pin. Okay. Again, don't have your finest clothes on because you'll get flour and God knows what's stuck to you. Okay. So the pastry is going to be quite difficult to pick up, so be very careful. I've not laid enough flour down there, that's why it's stuck. But don't worry, because sometimes it does stick, but you can bring it back. It's okay, guys. Just be very careful moving it. Get your flan tray and lay it over. Now it will break, but again, don't worry, because you've got it, because it's about moulding it. I'm going to put it back in the fridge to reset as well. So it's very soft pastry. You can cut away some of the excess, don't worry. Now, I've not made this in about 9 years, so I am a bit rusty. But you know what, I'm not afraid to show that I'm rusty at it. It's about the finished product at the end of the day. So have fun with it, just enjoy it at the end of the day. So any cracks, cuts, pieces that have fallen apart, you can rebuild. You can fix it. It's not a problem. Because it will. There'll be times when you do this, it won't work, and there'll be times when it's fantastic. My hands. Try my hands. I mean, I was lucky enough to be a part of the team that done this with the Queen. I'm not sure if this would be as good as the one the Queen ate herself that day, but hopefully it'll be very tasty and full of flavour. So I'm just lining it. As you can see, it got a couple of holes. With the excess pastry, once it's in the oven, when you're blind baking it, keep hold of all the scrappings because you might need them. Because when it goes in the oven, it shrinks. That's why I put it back in the fridge. I'm put it back in the fridge for about 10-15 minutes just to chill down again, because it will start to shrink. And the thing is, you don't want to get it all cooked and cut and then put your mix in, and when it cooks again, pastry shrinks again and it shrinks to nothing, and you're going to have hardly any pastry on tart, and it's just going to look really stupid. So it's always better to have a little bit too much. Okay. Push that down. Any cracks or holes, just fill in. So there's a big one there, but as you can see, I'm just going to fix it. Use a bit of flour on your fingers if you have to. Just make sure the pastry is pushed into the corner. Like I said, don't panic if it breaks. It happens. You know? But while it's doing this, you can fix it. That's why you keep all these excess bits. These are your plasters. These are the bits to fill the gaps and fill the holes. So take them off to one side. So that's quite a lot of pastry left over. You've got enough pastry, you can make some other little pastry cases with that. But it's good to keep. Just cut off some of the excess, but not all of it, because you are going to need some on there. Okay. So again, I'm just going to double check, make sure there's no holes left, and I'm then going to put it in the fridge to firm up again. Okay. Wash my hands one more time. and then we have our tart case. So the pastry is slightly soft now because I've rolled it out. Like I said, it will crack and you might panic, but don't. Keep the excess pastry for any attempts you need to fix it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it back in the fridge just to firm up again before I blind bake it. Okay guys, that's it. Okay, so it's now been 20-25 minutes since I put my Garibaldi biscuits in. I've just taken them out and they're cooked. Okay, so I'm laying them on the tray. As you say, it's nice and golden, and whilst it's still hot, I'm going to trim it down and cut into size. Because once it cools down, it's going to be a nice firm biscuit. And it'll so what you can do, you can either do like little square finger biscuits or circles, whatever you want. It's beautiful. It's very tasty. I'm going to do a few circles and a few strips. So I'll do a couple of big biscuits like that. Because as it cools, it's going to get hard. So I'm just going to do a few different shapes, just to show you the things you can do with it. A ring cutter. I'll do some rings as well. I just want to show you some different presentation skills at the end. Okay, so I've done some long fingers, some done thick rectangles and some circles. Alright guys, so basically this is going to cool down and these biscuits will firm up. You can keep trimmings and eat them, they're tasty. Go lovely with a cup of tea. Just be very careful taking it off the paper. If you have a wire rack, that's perfect to cool them down on, or otherwise they'll just cool down naturally on the board. Okay. Very careful when you're using sharp knives. Obviously the biscuits are still very warm. And if you can, instead of greaseproof paper, see if you can get hold of a silicone mat, which are perfect. Because basically you don't need to spray them, you don't need to do anything with them. You just put your biscuits and things on top of them and they'll come straight off. Obviously this all looks very rustic right now, but the final product will be beautiful, believe me. These are starting to firm up already, and they'll be nice and crisp. Again, trimmings you can keep and eat. You guys, paper can go in the bin. There you have your biscuits. Okay, I'll trim them down again once they're crispened up a little bit, but for the moment that's fine. Okay guys, and next we're going to blind bake the tart. Right, whilst I'm waiting for the pastry to chill again before I can blind bake it, I'm going to get the filling made. So I've got 9 egg yolks here guys. So I'm just going to get that into a bowl. Get all that scooped out. And I've got 75 grams of sugar. Let's get that in there. I'll give that a whisk. Give it a good old whisk, get it all mixed in. And then I've got 500 mils of double cream, or whipping cream will suffice, but today I'm using double. Okay. Get that out. Good whisk. And that is your custard tart filling. Okay. Now what I'm also going to do quickly is just take the chill off this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a pan. Skill mix now. And I'm just going to put it on a low heat for a minute or so. Keep stirring it because I don't want to go in too hot, because otherwise it's going to cook and curdle and scramble. You just want to come up to about blood temperature. So as you can see, I have that on the stove cooking. So now it's going to come up to temperature, and then I'm going to turn it off and leave it until the pastry's ready. Okay guys? Okay guys, so my tart case has been back in the fridge and it's nice and firm. I'm now going to blind bake it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some cling film. I'm just going to line it. Nicely lined with cling film. What I'm going to put inside this to help blind bake it is some rice. Now basically I'm just using cheap rice. Cheaper the better. You don't want to use the best quality rice to do this, because you're not going to use it afterwards or anything else apart from this. So this is just cheap rice I've just picked up from the supermarket. It's the rice, if you cook it turns to mush. So put that inside there. Obviously the cling film is protecting it. Fold the cling film over. And now it's going to ready in the oven, 180 degrees for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to take the rice out and put back in the oven for another 5 minutes to finish the pastry off. Okay guys? Alright guys, my tart case has had 10-15 minutes in the oven now at 180. It's still slightly under, so what I'm going to do is, I've got one egg yolk in here. I'm just going to brush it with egg yolk. So this will help cook it a little bit more, but also, if there's any cracks inside the tart case, the egg yolk is going to cook, and that's going to act like a sealing agent, so it won't leak, hopefully, because sometimes you get hairline cracks that you don't see, or holes, and it leaks out everywhere. So this will help. Now if you do have any big holes, what you can do is get the pastry that you had left over earlier and fill it up. I've been quite lucky at the moment. This one doesn't seem to have any holes, but I'll soon find out when I cook it. So what I'm going to do once I've done this is put it back in the oven for another couple of minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, just keeping an eye on it so it doesn't burn, and that should come out a nice golden colour, and should be a lovely tart case. Okay, there we go. So nicely coated with egg yolk just to seal it, so making sure it doesn't leak. Okay guys, so that's now going to go back in the oven. Be very careful when doing this. Always make sure you've got a cloth at hand to cover yourself so you don't burn yourself, and to be very careful. Remember, these items are hot. Okay. Okay guys, I've now taken the tart case out of the oven. It's nice and golden. Had another 10 minutes just to make sure it was all sealed, so hopefully there won't be any leaks now. I've now got the egg mix that I made earlier, and I'm going to pour it into the tart case. Now hopefully this is the moment of truth, and hopefully it won't spill out everywhere and there's no holes in it. So far it's looking pretty good. So I've got the oven preheated to 130 degrees, and I'm going to put this in there for about 30 to 40 minutes, and I'll be keeping an eye on it. Okay, so there is your custard tart ready to go in the oven. Now let's hope this works. Okay guys, it's been 40 minutes and I've just taken my custard tart out of the oven. Look at that, that's beautiful, isn't it? Nicely glazed. Probably could have done with a couple of minutes less. It's slightly starting to go on top, which is not what I want, but at the moment, to be honest, that's perfect. So what I'm going to do now is, normally I would get some grated fresh nutmeg, but I've only got pre-ground already. I just got from a supermarket, but that's fine. So I'm just going to cover it with some grated nutmeg, just to finish it. And then I'm going to let it cool down naturally. And that's it. So as you can see, I've now covered it in the nutmeg. Just a little bit more. And then I'm just going to let that cool down to room temperature naturally. That's it guys, that's it. That's your lemon tart. I've done the Garibaldi biscuits. Now all we've got to do is let this cool down, and then to trim it and cut it and plate it. And I'll show you different couple of ways to plate this dish. But this is a beautiful dish, a lovely tart. That'll serve at a fantastic meal. Right guys, we'll do that soon. Okay, right, the next step is, I've let the tart cool down slightly, but what I want to do now is get it out of this tart casing. So what I'm basically going to do is, I'm going to trim the edges and pull it out. So I have a sharp knife, and I go to the pastry and I cut away from the tart. So I'm going around the rim, as you can see, I'm going around, but I'm going away from the tart so the excess pastry doesn't go onto the custard surface. So just very gently cut away. So take your time. Always make sure your fingers are far away from the knife and you're holding the tart tin. So this will leave you with a nice smooth edge, and you won't have any excess pastry falling on tarts, having any pastry crumbs. And if you want to, you can always add more nutmeg if you want. Or you don't even have to put nutmeg on. You can just do a plain custard tart. But this is just a nice finish, and as I said, this is how we did the dish on the day. Break away any excess. Be very careful though, because you don't want to break the tart shell. And hopefully it should just pop out in one fell swoop. And then we have a custard tart. A nice crisp pastry. Thing is, I didn't want to leave it in there too long because it's a hot tart still warm. It's going to sweat in that tart base. So I just want to let it set a little bit so it's nice and firm, and then bring it out. So that's ready to go onto a plate. I have a cake stand here. I'm just going to leave it on that, and then I'm just going to let it finish cooling down. And that's it. The next step is to cut it and plate it. Alright guys, it's been a few hours now. My custard tart is now cool and it's ready to cut and plate. Alright everyone, it's now time to cut this beautiful custard nutmeg tart. Yeah, look at that. All ready to go. That's beautiful. So I'm going to cut it and I'm going to show you how to plate it. So at first, I'm going to get a knife, hold the tart firmly and gently just cut. It will crumble slightly, but don't worry. You don't need to put a lot of force down onto it. I should just cut through cleanly. Look at that. Beautifully cut. That is very sexy. Okay, that's as good as it was on the day. Okay. So I'm going to cut this into some small pieces and I'm going to show you different ways of cutting it. I'm just going to do about 3. So I'll cut it from the centre. Cut once. Twice. 3 times. So tart this size you'll probably get 12 portions out of. So basically cut it in, you can cut it into 4 if it makes it easier, and cut 3, 3, 3 and 3. So you get 12 pieces. Okay, so I've now cut the tart. I'm ready to plate. First of all, I think I'm going to go for try on this plate here, a black plate. What I've done is I've whipped a little bit of cream and I'll put a slight blob on the centre here, just off the centre, sorry. Just a small round blob like that, and I'm just going to gently do a lovely smear of cream like that. I'm then going to place one piece of tart off the side like that. There you go, simple. I've then got strawberry for a bit of colour, just one, be fine, to place at the top. And then I have my Garibaldi biscuits that you saw me make earlier. I'm going to place one of the round ones just at the side, and that is your dessert. Now if you want to, if you can get some mint or some sorrel cress or something, a nice green colour, you can put some around that as well. Okay, so that's one way of placing it. Another way, traditional white plate, the tart, just one strawberry on the side there, and I'll do a rectangle Garibaldi biscuit. I'm just going to cut this biscuit down. Yes, I should be using a chopping board, that's very naughty of me, but I'm at home. I'll just have that leaning off the strawberry there. Okay guys, another simple way of plating it. Now if you wanted, you could put a dab of cream around it, or have a little jug of cream or some pouring cream on the side. That'll just nicely go with it. It's a light, simple dessert. And third way, get a piece of tart. You could be generous, say have 2 biscuits, or maybe just even, again I'll cut this biscuit in half because they are quite big really. Have the biscuit like that on the plate, and then if you want, again, have pouring cream on the side, that's perfect. You could also get a little bit of icing sugar and just cover the Garibaldi biscuits with some icing sugar. Now if you look at that, that is perfectly cooked, pastry's perfectly cooked, and the tart, that's perfect, that's nice and sexy. If it's not cooked perfectly, you'd see a differentiation where the milk and cream is separated when it's been cooking, and it will be darker at the bottom than it is at the top. But that, my friends, is perfect, and that is why this recipe is brilliant. It's Marcus Wareing's recipe. You'll find it on BBC, good food, and it's one of the best recipes I've done. And I'm proud to be part of I'm very proud to be part of this, because like I said, I was there on the day when they'd done this for the Queen for her 80th birthday. Again guys, it's beautiful. So please try it at home, let me know what you think, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts and comments. Take it easy guys, keep cooking.